And now we'll start preparing all the artifacts required for deployment in cloud with the help of Zappa, right? If we'll simply go back to this diagram, where what we are saying that data scientists will provide the Flask application and AWS deployment setting. So Zappa will take those two as an input. It will prepare the required artifacts and send it to AWS for deployment, right? And as an outcome, we will get an endpoint to Zappa, and Zappa will send it back to data scientists so that data scientists can use that endpoint for making prediction, right? So we have seen how to create a Flask app. Now we'll see how to create AWS deployment setting, right? So for that, we have a command called Zappa init. So we need to provide all the deployment settings with the help of Zappa init. So once you will press enter, it will ask for the environment name. So I will be providing environment name as production, right? So you can have different environment in cloud, right? So we can have production environment, we can have pre-production environment, we have testing environment, right? So Zappa will segregate those environment with the help of this parameter, right? So here we are saying that my stage is production. Press enter, and now it's asking for the bucket name. So Zappa will use this bucket name for storing any artifacts and used during model deployment, right? So it will use that as a storage and will manage any deployment activity from this bucket, right? So I will leave it as default. Press enter, and now it's asking for what is my app name. So my app name is predictor. So predictor is the my Python module, and within predictor dot app. So app is the name which we had defined here. So that's my Flask application name. So that's we are giving it here. Just press enter. And now it's asking whether you need to deploy it to all the regions or not. So here I will just press end for now. And this is how the deployment setting which we are talking about here, AWS deployment settings. So here it's saying that Zappa will deploy this prediction.app to AWS. The AWS region would be US West 2, and this region has been picked up by default from your AWS profile which you have configured within your machine, right? And the profile name, it's default. Project name is deployment. Runtime is 3.8. So whatever your Python runtime would be, it will take that runtime. And S3 bucket is this. This S3 bucket Zappa will use for model deployment. I'm happy with the content, so press Y. So now the deployment setting is created, and now we are happy to go ahead with deploy. And here Zappa is giving a command, right? In order to deploy your changes to AWS, just run this command. So I am just giving Zappa deploy production. And once you'll press enter, it will start the I think it exists before. So first I need to deploy it. Initially I had tested it. So I will just deploy, undeploy, delete it, and then we'll see the entire step from scratch. Okay. So it will take few seconds, and then we'll start our deployment activity again. So initially I had used the same production stage for deployment, and that's what it's giving me some error that this production stage already exists in AWS and you cannot deploy the same changes within the environment. And that's the benefit of using Zappa. It will tell you error if something is not correct, right? Okay, so now it has been deleted from AWS, and now we'll deploy it again, right? So Zappa deploy production. Okay, so it's calling deploy for stage production. So what it will do, it will take your local deployment environment. So in this case, env serving, and it will take all the packages which we have installed within that environment, right? And we will package it for AWS compatible format, right? So here you can see that it's packaging project as zip, right? It has already downloaded and installed dependency, and it has taken from local cache. So local cache is from my env serving environment, right? And it's now packaging the project as a zip. And if you go to this environment, our deployment environment, you'll find that Zappa has created this temporary. So this has been created only temporary, right? It will be deleted once my deployment would complete. So I'm just taking this as a backup. We'll show afterwards what it contains, right? So you can see that application package is likely too large. So what Zappa is saying that the size of the package is large, so you can compress the package size by providing slim handler to true, right? So that option we can try, but for now we'll just go ahead with the default option, and we'll see what happens once this package creation activity gets complete, right? So uploading of deployment production has already been done, and now it's scheduling it. You can see that it's scheduled, and it's uploading deployment production template to AWS S3, right? And Zappa is creating a stack, right? Stack is within AWS environment in order to deploy all the resources, right? So you can see that it's deploying API gateway, and my deployment is done, right? It has given an endpoint saying that my model endpoint is available at this location, right? So we can use this endpoint, just copy it, and we'll try to test it, how it works, right? So again, we'll go to Postman. So we'll replace this, and we'll copy this here, and we'll use the same message. And here I'm providing the predict endpoint. We'll send a request. You can see. So this is coming from AWS, not from my local machine, and you can cross check it, right? So I will just check the log. So, in order to check the logs, we need to provide Zappa tell and the stage of your AWS environment. So in this case, production, right? Zappa tell production, that's my stage name, which we had given initially. Press enter. So it will pull all the logs from AWS. So within AWS, we have AWS CloudWatch, where all the logs would be stored, right? So it's pulling all the logs and it's giving me the results. So you can see the we have HTTP request 200. You can see it, right? So at 6 November 425, we have received a message and HTTP 200 response has been sent back. So that's an indication. You can see it here. And the request has come from Postman runtime. It's correct, right? We have sent a request from here, and that's what my AWS Cloud Watch is saying as per the log. We'll send another request, and we'll check the logs again, right? So here we have checked for ham, and similarly we'll check for other spam message, right? So we'll just check with spam message. So okay, so here I will just replace it with, and let's see what happens. And you can see that spam, right? So we are getting the same result which we had tested during local testing. And now you can see that we have got another request, right? We have got another request saying that from Postman runtime, and it's again the same, right? So that's the first message. And we had two message, right? So we can check that how we can find out how many HTTP requests we have received. I'm just coming out from this prompt. Okay, and now we'll check the logs, right? So we'll Zappa tail HTTP and we'll filter saying that post. Uh, Failing, we have some command. We'll check the documentation. We'll check the documentation because we have ways of finding out how many HTTP requests we have received. Python, GitHub. Okay, we'll go to here. And here we have command for finding out how many HTTP requests we have received. So we'll see it's here. Okay, I think the syntax was not right. So we'll give it here. It should be HTTP. Now it's correct. So it will pull. Okay, you can see we have received two HTTP requests from Postman. Right? So you can see these two messages, right? So which confirms that my AWS deployment is also working as expected, right? And for any further references, you can look for the Zappa documentation. It's very extensive. They have provided lots of information about different commands and how it works and what additional parameters we can pass it to Zappa, right? So you can say that it has lots of advanced settings, right? Because in production we need to manage different things and it provides lots of flexibility and configuration for managing those aspects, right? So you can just navigate it and take the relevant part for your application, right? Configured it accordingly and it will work as expected, right? I'm just coming out from this command prompt. Okay, Control C. So that's the way of finding out your request and how you can fire any HTTP request from Postman and how you'll be getting response back, right? I will take another negative example. Say, for example, if something goes wrong, right? How we will debug our changes, right? So here I will be just making one small changes. Say, for example, I made a mistake. Say, for example, I have removed this. That's a syntax error, right? I have removed one uh, um, bracket from here, right? And hopefully it will fail in production, right? And assuming that we haven't done local testing, we are directly promoting it to production. And so let's see what happens, right? So in order to promote any changes to production, right, we need to update it, right? So instead of deploying it, we need to update it. Zappa update production, right? So it will take your latest changes, right, and it will deploy it. Press enter. So it will take your program and it will deploy it, right? So after deployment, we'll check how we can find out the problem and how we can fix it, because that is important. As a developer or data scientist, you need to understand how we can debug any problem and where to find out relevant logs to understand what is wrong with my application, right? So here again it's performing the same activities. It's downloading all the packages and it will create a fresh package, right? So in that way, Zappa will keep track of all your changes in production, right? So this time we are promoting the second version. The first version was initially when we deployed our changes, and this is the modification we are promoting to production, right? So whenever you'll ask Zappa to roll back to previous two version or any version, it will know where to pick the changes and how to roll back the change in AWS environment, right? That's the way of managing the model artifacts and different versions within your environment, and Zappa will keep track of all those activities, right? So it will, once it will upload, it will provide you the endpoint. So the endpoint will not change. So that's the another benefit. The endpoint will not change. The only thing, it will update the artifacts, right? So you can see updating the Lambda function code, right? Some configuration, and it's uploading to production. But at the end, it will provide endpoint. If everything goes well, it will provide an endpoint, right? So it's performing the same set of activities. And here you can see that its status, it's deployed, but it's failed. But why it's failed? Because we know the root cause why it has failed, but we'll check it with the help of Zappa tail production. We'll press enter. It will pull the log. We can also check it from AWS console, and that would be easy for someone to look because it's scanning everything. And here you can see that it's saying that syntax error, invalid syntax, right? It has figured it out where the problem is, and it's at line 65. So line 65, so it's giving some, it's close to here. It's giving it here because we haven't provided bracket here. So once we'll give it, it will fix it, right? So that's the way of finding out any problem, right? So that's the one way of checking your logs. The another way, you can also check logs by going to AWS console. Just go to AWS console, right? And within AWS console, you need to search for AWS CloudWatch, right? So within AWS CloudWatch, all the logs would be maintained, and we can always go back and check what logs are available for my project. So I will go to CloudWatch, okay, and within CloudWatch we need to search for event group. So event group will, okay, see here, log group, and within log group you'll find we are in West 2, right? Because that's the reason we are using, and every region will have different log group, right? So we have just gone to US West, and now we'll see the logs available for our program. Okay, and now we need to find out this deployment production, because that's the stage we had used. Just click on this, click on the latest one, and you'll find the same thing, right? Syntax error at line 65, and that's what this command has done. It has pulled all the logs from CloudWatch, and it presented all this information in user-friendly manner, so that developer or data scientist can look for the log errors and can fix it. So I'm just stopping it. I will fix my changes and will deploy it again. We'll deploy it again with the help of update command, and now we'll retest. So that is third version we are deploying, right? So that's the way of managing your changes in production. You can always update your change, and internally Zappa will manage all the package version separately. It will add all those changes in AWS history, and at any point of time, if we need to revert our changes back to any previous version, we can always tell Zappa to roll back to that particular version, right? So it's again the packaging. It will perform the same set of activities, because every time it will package everything, it will create a new artifact, and it will store it separately within AWS, right? So in that way, we can manage the versions, right? So again, it's performing the same set of activities. So just wait for some time, and after this activity gets complete, we'll retest our changes just to make sure that it has been applied correctly and we are able to hit that endpoint again. Okay, so you realize that this makes it very easy to deploy any changes within AWS infrastructure. And once this gets complete, I will show you how you can navigate to AWS infrastructure just to find out what it has done and where and what type of resources AWS has created. Because that will help you in finding out any root cause with respect to AWS infrastructure. If something goes wrong, and if you need to find out the problem with your settings or configurations or any other aspects of AWS infrastructure, right? So it will be done soon. So it's scheduled, right? So it's trying API gateway, and it will be completed shortly, right? So now you can see that your updated Zappa deployment is live, and this time it has been deployed without any error, right? And now we can test it again. Just send it, right? So we are getting its spam message, right? So which is okay, right? In that way, we can manage the entire life cycle of our deployment pipeline. And before deleting this, I will just show you the AWS side of things. So it has created AWS Lambda infrastructure. So just click on AWS Lambda, and it will show you the component which Zappa has created automatically. So this is the deployment production, right? So just click on this link, and you can see that Zappa has created it automatically. We haven't done anything, right? So it has created the handler for us. The runtime is Python 3.8, so that's what we had requested, right? It has enabled everything, right? Whatever is required for Lambda function to work, it has deployed everything, right? Because here you cannot check the function code because it's too large, so that's why it's giving me some error that that deployment code package is very large, so you cannot navigate it, right? So permission, monitoring, right, everything has been configured here by default, and everything has been done by Zappa, right? So you can see the invocation duration. So you can see that we have fired some command, and it's visible within AWS, right? You can find all the details, whatever log stream it has generated. You can see all these information here, right? You can also find out the build time, how much time my AWS component has spent. So you can see that 6.45 milliseconds. So like this. So you will be charged only for this build amount, right? So that's from the AWS Lambda. And now we'll check the other component, which is API gateway. So we'll click to API gateway. And within API gateway, we can find out what resources it has created for us. So it will also provide the endpoint. So this is deployment production. This is the API gateway details, right? And you can see that it has created lots of different things. So here I will click on stage, and within stage you can find out the here, okay, within stage production, that's what we had requested, and within production you can find out the URL, and that's the same URL which we have received here, right? So you can check it. It's the same URL which we have received here. It's, okay. And you can also find out other details within this environment. It has created all the resources, right? So it has created post request, and also it has set up different proxy, right, which will help you integrating with Lambda, right? Because Lambda, within Lambda we have Lambda function, and here you need to provide which Lambda function you need to invoke. All those configuration settings would be done by Zappa automatically within API gateway, right? So that's the benefit of using Zappa. Otherwise, you need to perform all these activities manually, and you need to link this API gateway with Lambda function, right? So that's from the API gateway perspective. So you can navigate it all the settings and just try to see what Zappa has created for us, right? So I think pretty much that's it. I have covered, and you can also check one more thing: stack, cloud formation, stack, and this will help you in configuring all the resources. So you can see the deployment production, right? So deployment production will contain all the resources which Zappa has created on our behalf, right? So you can see that API gateway and the other resources it has created, right? So cloud formation is AWS way of managing resources. It's a automation tool, and with the help of cloud formation stack, it will deploy all the changes and it will back out all the resources in the same order, right? So these are the resources, and also it will create different IAM rules, policies, right, for managing different resources, right? So in this way, we can see what has happened behind the scene, what actually Japa has done, right? And that's really very promising, right? Because that's make our life much more easy and providing a very clean set of instruction for automating all those steps and promoting our changes in production, right? So we have seen few commands what uh, we had used to deploy changes and to update changes. We have seen how we can find out the logs from AWS CloudWatch, right? How we have also seen how we can debug the problem, how we can fix it, how we can deploy it, right? So these are the aspects we normally do whenever we'll promote any changes in production, right? And that covers basically everything you need to know in terms of AWS deployment within AWS Lambda compute infrastructure. That's it for now. Hope you like it. Thanks for watching it.